Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast, where we talk everything Lorcana. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
And thanks for coming on this journey with us. I don't know why I just realized this, but at what point did I stop reading the script? Like, it's been very recently. Like, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, because for anyone that's not in the know, like, we had an incomplete script where you would just go off of it every episode, just make sure we were getting all our main points down, and now we've kind of...
I mean, we still have a script. I just don't have the main topics and everything that we had bulleted out to make sure we hit. Like, I don't pull up that outline anymore. And I feel like it's been relatively recently. And I don't know the exact episode number on this, but it's like we're getting close to 100. This is like 90-ish.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it might even be like 92, 93-ish.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I feel like it's about time that we can do this.
It was a natural progression. We didn't do it on purpose, cognitively. It was just...
That's what I mean. But I feel like I should have gotten to that comfort level. I don't know, episode 40, maybe. Just
10.
something. Yeah, something like a little. Well, 10, we didn't come up with. We iterated the script for, I don't know, for the first season probably. But anyways, welcome back, everyone. This is I don't know. I mean, it's not technically the final episode of Shimmering Skies, but it feel like we're kind of getting there. Once you finish all of the tournaments and the set champs and everything, you definitely start to wind down. But I think the topic today kind of talks about the past and the future, so we can discuss a little bit of both. So, or I guess it's not a little bit of both. What am I saying? This is, we'll talk about the previous. Anyways, we're talking about our top 5 / honorable mention cards of Azurite Sea.
All right.
And so I think the past. What I meant by the past was a lot of the current stuff impacts that. Correct?
Yeah.
I don't want to say in a combo-y way, but obviously in a vacuum.
When you add discard stuff, it obviously benefits John, in that sort of way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's if you have something that works well more as a set piece than in a vacuum, then that's when we talked about that quite a bit in the past too, when we were evaluating cards where in a vacuum this is fantastic. Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, for example. In a vacuum, one of the best cards in the game. Talk about it all the time. And practicality, I mean, it doesn't get played ever. So there's your answer. So anyways, we're going to be talking about our Azurite Sea stuff, with this. I mean, this is the preview episode. Azurite Sea comes out Friday. So
is it legit?
Yes. Friday.
That is the 15th.
This is coming out the day before that.
Oh yeah.
So now I got to cut this out.
Sorry.
Oh my God. You get it together now?
Yeah.
So Azurite Sea comes out Friday, and so we're there again. These, it just feels like it sneaks up on you so fast.
I mean, I feel like every set does this too.
That's what I mean. We're just okay, cool. We got all this stuff, and we're cooking, and especially with Seattle, and everybody's oh my God, these Emerald Steel is still on top of the world, and blah blah blah. But the format's changing now.
Especially because, for me, besides set 2, I've always kind of wanted, a little bit more time in the meta, set 2, I wanted out fast, but every other set, it's been can I stay here a little longer, please,
We definitely said that about 3. 4, I was totally fine with leaving, not because I didn't like it, but just because I felt like it was time. Same thing with 5. I feel like it's been a relatively good format. It definitely hasn't... treated me well overall as far as my accolades and success, I guess. But I mean, as far as the overall meta, I felt like it's been decent. So, I mean, it's definitely towards the top.
I mean, it's got a special place in my heart because it's the first time I ever had success at a set champs. So
we haven't talked about that.
Have we not?
No.
Me and my brother, we got, my brother got top 8. So his first set championships card ever. And then I got second place at a tournament.
And you got a mat, and I didn't get a mat this time. So when we're talking about success / not success, I mean, you had a lot more success this go around than I did.
But the reason I'm mentioning that is because I guess that's why I love set 5 so much.
Yeah,
just
I think that's totally fair. I mean, again, I think that's, set 4 definitely has a special place in my heart because of that too. That's when I had the most success. But, anyway, so, there's a lot of things changing, a lot of things changing, a lot of things getting ready to get uprooted with Azurite Sea, which is what we're going to talk about this week. So this is kind of the send off to Shimmering Sky. And
are we skipping card of the week probably just so we can, because we're going to be talking about lots of different cards here.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of debating on what to do on that one just because it is a very weird scenario. I mean, we definitely We could just bring up some like random card and talk about it. No, never mind. I didn't tell
I
you
have
this.
one too, man.
No, it's not a card. I was going to surprise you, but just like get your honest feedback and your honest reaction so that it would go. So I have an idea. It's going to be card of the week, but it's a little different than normal.
Okay.
So let's go. I mean, let's go ahead and get into it because we can sit here and ramble forever, or we can actually do it. But now's the perfect time, everyone. I hate to be, the plug machine, but if you are going to buy your singles for Azurite Sea, we would super appreciate it if you would use our TCG Player affiliate link. It's by far the best way to support the podcast. It doesn't cost you anything if you're buying your singles anyways, and it does help us out. So really appreciate it. But with that said, I guess let's go ahead and jump into it because there's a ton to talk about today.
Okay.
So card of the week. It's a group of cards.
I know. I knew this was going to be brought up.
What?
Is that
Yeah. Okay. So Enchanted from Azurite Sea, not a specific one, but the art style for the Enchanteds in Azurite Sea, I would say overall has been extremely positive from the feedback that I've seen. I think you and I are in the minority that don't like overly love it. And so for those of you, I guess, who haven't seen, I feel like I say this every time, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have seen some of the leaks. Is it agreed that it's all treasure mappy kind of themed? Like that's the
treasure map blueprint sort of design? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the blueprint with the inventors, I definitely have seen people say that too. So it's in set 4, you had like the black background kind of, dark Ursula taking over kind of theme. Shimmering Skies was the exact opposite, where it's like extremely colorful,
celebration,
very vivid celebration. And this one, all of them have like a wood grain kind of like pirate mappy feel with like, kind of, I don't know, like paths, and little schematics and things along those lines that kind of add to it. And so it's hard to describe just because it is such a very different style, but it's like the wood grain is like the biggest like backdrop theme, I think, that gives you the most like insight.
So I have something to bring up real quick because it's a thought I had while looking at them, which I thought was really cool. So we know that the glimmers themselves, right? And this is talking from like a lore perspective.
Yep.
The glimmers themselves are in a book, and then you use an ink caster to then bring those characters to life. Are we looking at these pages that bring those glimmers to life?
I mean, I think that's very possible.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it's the map to Azurite Sea where all of them are on. I mean, we haven't really gotten much lore outside of like the initial like launch video, have we?
There's a lot of stuff going on. Like
in the cards, I think there's more. But as far as
there's a whole owl thing going on. Have you?
I have not seen.
Oh,
that.
okay. Well,
we're gonna have to do an update on that one at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
At some point here recently, because I don't think we really did for Shimmering Skies, because it was basically just like now there's a celebration after Ursula's return.
Well, I mean, and there was a lot of Jafar, Basil, the Great Illuminary. Like there was a lot of stuff going on in that one.
Well, we haven't talked about any of it though.
Oh,
so
okay.
maybe So I guess we do need to update that sooner rather than later. But
Enchanteds.
Yeah. Anyways, Enchanteds. So there's a couple of them. I love the Baymax one. I mean, maybe I'm just very partial to that one because I love Baymax, and I was expecting, or not expecting, but just like my perception is warped because I really like the Baymax one. But so I mean, I think we've just about had all of them released. There's a Yzma, a Baymax. Basil,
The We Could Be Immortals is great.
The Island I Pulled from the Sea, Song, You Came Back, Action, Sugar Rush Speedway, Location, the Immortals, Song, Rafiki, and Amethyst, another Treasure Mountain. So that, I mean, I think the vast majority of them have been released now. Wreck-It Ralph. But yeah, overall thoughts. Just give me your final take on the Enchanteds for the set.
So I love the design. Like I love the art. I love it. Like I think it looks great. It's just not Enchanted. Like I think if this was a separate set from Enchanted, it'd be great.
I've had the same thought, but none of these pictures we've seen, like I don't feel like it actually does like has the shine and the sheen, and the very like vibrance that you get from an Enchanted. And so do you think it changes when we see it in person?
Well, I mean, I saw this with the Captain Amelia. Like you can see there's some ink surrounding her a little bit, little color.
Yeah.
So I wonder if something like that, like accents like that, get really exemplified.
I would imagine so.
So I mean, I guess we got to wait to see what it's like in person. It could be incredible.
I think they'll be better. So my biggest gripe is, and I've seen a couple people say this online, is that if you're playing your enchanteds in your deck and you're not just collecting them, it like definitely throws off the theme or like the feel of the cards you're playing, which that's like a very nitpicky thing because most people probably don't play their enchanteds or have enough to play their enchanteds. But I kind of get that, you kind of want like the same feel and the same kind of vibe for the cards you're playing.
Sure.
To kind of have some sort of similarity.
Feels very different from every other enchanted you're playing.
Extremely different. And so, flip side, that being said, I do really love that all of these have a very distinct style and feel.
Yeah.
If you think about like the Pokemon EX cards or GX cards or V cards or whatever their, hidden alt arts are at the time. I mean, they're very similar for the most part. I would say the biggest change are is when they do like kind of thematic things. Like they had the Prism like stained glass cards recently.
And then they have the partner Pokemon, like with the trainer.
Yeah, and so each of those that are like very, but I think the style of that one is still very the same. I think the stained glass, like Charizard, for instance, just because that's obviously the biggest one, is like so different stylistically that it sets itself apart and is very sought after. Whereas these are, very stylistically different, but in general, all the Pokemon stuff are the same. And so I really, really do genuinely like that.
No, and I think this is like a very like, it's just not our personal taste. Like I think I'm still gonna hunt for enchanteds.
Again, most people do want them.
Yeah, like I'm still gonna like if I pull one, I'm gonna be absolutely stoked. Like
for sure.
like
of course.
And actually, I've been looking at these right here, and then I think for some reason I don't know why, but I think the Rafiki is my favorite.
Rafiki's a good one for sure.
I don't know why. I think that's a really good design and everything. But I mean, I don't know. Like it's growing on me. I'll say that. Like at first, I wasn't a big fan, but also like to talk about our opinion here. Like my brother and dad also share our point on this as well. Like it just doesn't feel enchanted enough.
I feel like it's crazy because I still feel like we're in the minority for the most part on that one, but
like even this looks more enchanted. I don't know what it is.
I do like that the
you
accent.
come back.
I do like that the accent colors are the color of the ink that they're in.
That's nice.
Yeah. So like the Rafiki's an amethyst card and it's got purple like accents around it, and the Maui song card, You've Been Pulled from the Sea, or I can't whatever the name of it was, is ruby, and it has the red accent. So from that respect, I think it's cool. But again, overall, not my style. I imagine maybe it's not a hot take, but again, most of the stuff I've seen has been super positive, and so I feel like we're an outlier on this one. But again, I felt like as an outlier on the black background one, I really loved those, and I think
so did I.
Most people on the other side didn't like those. And so, anyways, you win some, you lose some. But again, in general, I love the overall theme and the overall way that they're taking the style of Lorcana. So keep it up from that respect. So
yeah.
Okay. We kind of already talked about the news. We said you had a really successful set champs run. I think that was really cool. Tyler did as well, which was super stoked for both of you to have that, first like glimpse of success and, getting in there to keep the motivation going. Cause I guess we have to tell us like, you weren't even going to go to that one that you came in second. Like you were really just kind of burnt out at that point. And I was like, no, you got to go.
Yeah. I mean, that one was,
You bubbled in 9th, the one before that, the weekend before.
And that
was rough.
In the moment, it really stung. Now looking back, I was like, okay, that was actually a really successful.
Yeah, it obviously stings.
I
mean, it's the same thing for me. I bubbled in 9th twice, and I was livid.
Yeah,
and it really stings. It just really stings because you want the opportunity to keep going. But anyways, long story short, I feel like I have a small part to play in that because I talked you into going.
No, you do for sure.
So,
I was one lore away from the win. That was
I know
in game 3 of the finals. That's the one thing like that eats at me, but I'm still glad that I got second.
It's crazy how those games go like that though. It's crazy that anyways. Yeah, so successful set champs run for you guys. I mean, I did get a couple cards, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's another set down, another series of set champs to go through, and now it's on to set 6, which is Continentals.
I think set 6 could be, and I guess this kind of goes with our overall conversation here, it could be a make or break set for the meta.
I've seen a ton of people say this is shaping up to be one of the strongest releases we've seen. And this is, these all like very respected players.
I agree with that. I do, but I'm worried it could be a little too much.
I think that's fine. I think you want a bunch. I think you want it to, I don't think you like, think about Ruby Amethyst, for instance, like how much has that deck actually changed in the last 3 sets? Like after set 2, like it's all the staples. It's all the same stuff.
I don't think that deck's changing though.
I think it will. I think there's a bunch of stuff that will make it shift a little bit. I think I think the new Maui card, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think that one's going to really, change the way that it plays.
Sure.
But anyways, but again, I could be wrong. Like I don't know. I could very well be wrong. I mean, some of this stuff I'm not an expert in, and some of these decks I don't really play, and so I don't understand all the ins and outs that are gonna, make some of this stuff better or not. But in general, I think, the top decks have been the top decks for pretty much the whole game now. I mean, Songs and Ruby Amethyst have been around for the entire game. Mm-hmm. Blue Red has been around for 3 sets now, and even I would even say 3.5 sets now.
That's right.
Green Steel has been around, I mean, I would say since set 3 as well. I mean, even a little bit in set 2. Yeah, I was going to say even a little bit in set 2 with, the release of Prince John and some of that.
There was a little Bucky going on. Not as much as it was in set 3, but there was a little bit.
Yeah, and so again, I think those are probably your big 4 that have always, and then the Tempo, Emerald Amethyst has been around since set 3. So I think the last 3 sets have seen, various waves of success for some of those more than others. But in general, those have been the decks that have been the most successful. So I would be fine with it, whether it's the same, if it's the same colors, fine. Just give me a big shift in the way that those colors are played. So anyways, yeah, that's, we'll see. I mean, I think, that's what you want from a new set is you want it to really completely, upheave the way of people's thoughts on it and, give what I consider the bright minds of the game that can really go deck build the opportunity to show those skills and show that they're ahead of the curve because they do such a good job on building these decks.
And I think, that goes right into our main topic here because I think there's quite a few cards that are going to either change decks or make, a new deck within the same ink. I think there's a lot of examples of that, of the new cards in the set. So
for sure.
If you want to make that a natural leeway there.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it for sure.
So we got a top 5 here.
Well, we're going to end with that. So we each have a top 5 and then we've got some honorable mentions. And so we're going to run through the honorable mentions. Well, your bottom 5 are going to be your 5 honorable mentions. So.
I did rank them though. I did rank from 10 to 1. Yeah. So I'm going to.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of honorable mentions. Well, I guess let's preface with say this. I mean, we talked about doing this, and so I know you have them, but I think these are probably very biased. I mean, my top 5, are based around what I want to play and what I think's the best. And so it's not necessarily I think these are going to be the 5 best cards. It's more these are the 5 I'm looking most forward to / I think are going to be really interesting to build around.
I would say I went probably a more unbiased route.
So you went just straight. Okay, that's fair, and that's fine because I think that just gives us more of a breadth of stuff to talk about. So good from that point. So okay, starting with my my honorable mentions, the 2 legendaries in Amber, Simba and Tiana.
Okay.
I think, I don't want to spend hours upon all of these, but I think those are just insane aggro tools. They have a little bit of overlap. Hyper aggro already showed a lot of glimpses. I think both of those just continue to build the annoyance around the aggro side of the game.
So I think, and again, you said you are coming from a little bit of a biased opinion here, but I think if you're coming at it from an unbiased perspective, Simba outside of top 5 is nuts.
I disagree with that one. I still think I think from an unbiased perspective, it's still outside my top 5.
I think this changes aggro completely and makes it a meta viable deck. Simba, I think, and even Steel Song too. I think it takes all those decks to the absolute next level and makes it much more annoying.
You said that about Steel Song, or when we were talking about it earlier. You said that I don't think it fits into Steel Song at all.
What are you taking? You taking out Ariel to fit in Simba? No, but no. Like, I think, dude, just wait.
It's a win more card in Steel Song. It's a very much game changer in aggro.
Exactly. I think aggro is going to be where...
Exactly. But you don't need a win more card in Steel Song. You need I'm battling it out and I need a little bit more of an advantage song.
No, I agree that it's going to be the bigger tool in aggro, but I think it takes aggro to that top 3, top 4.
It very well could. It very well could. And I think Tiana is very good in that same sense too, because they basically do the same thing. It's like you have to attack or you have to deal with Simba/Tiana first. That's the key, is both of them have abilities that basically force you to deal with them before you can deal with the rest of the board. And that's ultimately why they're so good, is because it turns off your access to the rest of the board, which very well could be a couple daisies and a piglet.
I mean, I'm talking about Simba too much here, but he does come later in the list. But
okay, that's fair.
We'll get to Hemlin later. We can talk about.
The next one I have is Maleficent's Staff, the item in Amethyst.
Okay.
Was this anywhere on your list?
It's not. No.
Okay. So this one says, we didn't even talk about the actual abilities for Simba and Tiana. We're terrible on podcasters here.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Simba, the Playful Protector, is a 4/4 stat line, shift 3, 5 cost uninkable, quests for 2, and has the ability that says at the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready your other characters. So the way that I viewed it was like a much more effective bodyguard, because it's like even if you fight through the bodyguard, you can't fight through the rest.
And it's a May too, so if you want to keep in a lemon lime deck, if you want to keep your Diablo exerted, you can do that.
Yeah.
So
or your Bellhidden Archer. I don't know why I said that one.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, if you want to hit the Bellhidden Archer, sure, go for it. Tiana, on the other hand, is a 3 cost 1/4 uninkable. It has a 2 quest for 2 as well, and has the ability that says whenever a character of yours is challenged, while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn unless their player pays 3 ink. So essentially, a Maui can't kill a Daisy then. Like, that's what it's saying. It's like that Maui has to go into Tiana first. And then you can start challenging the rest of it, because otherwise you're not going to have enough strength to really take anything out, most likely. So, anyways, very pseudo bodyguardy. I mean, I can imagine if you have a bodyguard in front of Tiana and you have to take out the bodyguard and Tiana, like that makes that bodyguard even that much stronger, because it's like, okay, you have no strength to take out the bodyguard now. Anyways, very cool aggro tools. I like the way that that's a very different paradigm on the way that they've approached those. But anyways, moving on to Maleficent's Staff. It says whenever one of your opponent's characters, items, or locations is returned to their hand from play, gain 1 lore. So if you're and it's only a 2 cost inkable. So if you're in an Emerald Amethyst tempo deck, best believe Kit and Muses are your best friend, because you're just going to be bouncing everything, getting lore, keeping that board clear, and quest until your heart's content.
I think we have a buddy of ours that's going to absolutely love this card.
He actually, Mo hasn't talked about it.
Okay. Really?
No, and not to say that it's not good, but his eyes are definitely set on another card, and we'll talk about that one too.
Okay.
Moving on to Emerald, I have the Transport Pod.
Okay. I don't have that on my list, but
I think this one's insane too. 1 cost inkable item that says at the start of your turn, you may move a character of yours to a location for free. I mean, there's a lot of locations that have been, I want to say, good, but not great because of their high move cost. If you can just throw things in locations for free now.
This could be game changing for the Treasure Island location. That could change that one. And this could Dwarves Mine too. Like
that Dwarves Mine comes to mind, like Fang, which has a high move cost. Which doesn't like directly impact your ability to play. It's more of like a defensive mechanism. But if you're doing it for free, then who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Especially for the location move lore decks, huge.
Sherwood Forest, which I think we kind of started to play around with at the beginning of last set. That says your characters named Robin Hood can move there for free, but characters there gain ward and the ability to exert to deal 1 damage to chosen character. If you can move to Sherwood Forest for free and everything has ward, GG's, buddy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, Transport Pod. I think, locations showed to be an extremely, extremely powerful tool. There was a deck with 28 locations that made top 32 in Seattle.
Fun
Did you
stuff.
see that one?
I didn't.
You got to go look at that. It is, you will look at that deck and your jaw will drop and you will say, what on earth is this? Amber Steel.
Okay. Dwarves mine? No.
Yep. Cody played me with this on Wednesday and melted my face off. Just
That's nuts.
Obliterated me. Just completely and utterly. Like, I think he went he 2-0'd me in our actual round, and then we played a ton more, and I think he beat me 4 out of 5 times, like when we played some more. So it was nutty. Okay, transport pod. Give me one of yours now.
All right, so in 10, but also my 5 honorable mention.
No, not number 10. We're not going. You just get an honorable mention.
I have John Silver, Stern Captain.
Yeah, I mean,
I think going back to my past conversation about new decks in inks that are already a deck, Emerald Steel Bogo. I think this changes that completely.
John Silver's an 8-cost inkable 6/6 stat line, quest for 2, shift 5. Also has resist 2, so he's a unit that won't get removed because he's got way too much health and resist to do that. And he has the ability that says at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to each opposing ready character. So I agree. I think that's a extremely annoying tool for the ward characters that just like to sit there and create a lot of value. He just costs way too much. He's just way too expensive.
I mean, he drops 3 to shift.
And then you're playing a John Silver in your deck because you need to.
You're doing morph.
Well, I know, but...
You're doing morph.
I know. And you're probably, if you're using morph to shift him on 2, then you're not shifting beast on 3, and I think you're losing value there.
You can do either or. I mean, if you don't have beast in hand.
I mean, there's that possibility, but you just finished saying that Mufasa is going to revolutionize aggro, and you're just going to sit there for 3 turns for John Silver to get dropped on 5 and take 2 turns after that to take out a Prince John because he deals 1 damage per. And so,
I mean, it's an honorable mention. It's 10 honorable mention, but I think that this is being overlooked at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a great card. I think it's just the meta has sped up so much that's really hard to pull off in today's world. So, okay, give me another one of yours.
At 9, but also an honorable mention.
No, we're not saying numbers anymore.
Sorry.
Honorable mention.
I'm going to continue to do it, but it's fine.
I'm going to mute you.
Wreck-It Ralph Ham Hands.
Yeah, of
6
course.
cost and inkable, 4/4, quest for 3, ability. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item or location to gain 2 lore.
Yeah, I mean, that, again, on paper, this is probably the best card in the set.
It's dang good.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're questing for 5 and you're banishing something else that's of note that you want to get rid of, like, how does it get better than that? It really doesn't. The difference is it's uninkable.
You're questing for 5 and you're banishing item or location. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's utterly insane. I mean, again, it's just like on paper, that stats and that ability is S++ tier.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, the body's a little small for 6 cost and inkable.
Don't even care about that. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but I mean, it's such a big threat that
it's 4, so it's right in the middle. It's good.
Yeah, it doesn't get Medusa'd. I mean, 4s. You're not gonna get stormed. You're gonna have to have a lot on board to get strength. Zeus hasn't been played much. Maybe it comes back. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely a massive consideration for myself as well.
All right.
Give me one more. Not at number 7, because if you say that, I'm muting you.
Well, it's at number 8, but Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit.
Oh my God, at 8. Okay, well.
I understand. 2 costs. Okay, we'll go through it real quick. 2 costs and inkable, legendary and sapphire. 2 strength, 1 willpower, quest for 2. Ability during your turn. Whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an item card, you may play that item for free and it enters play exerted. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck.
Yeah.
I can see your disagreement here. What?
Yeah. I think it's utterly busted.
Okay.
There's a lot of, I mean, imagine you're Jonathan Lamb and you're playing Merlin's Cottage. You don't even know what the top of your deck is.
You're getting 1 trigger off this.
Most likely 2 if you're in Sapphire. Maybe even 3, maybe even 4, potentially 5. No, okay, I'm cooking a little too hard there, but you're definitely getting 1 and most likely getting 2. Imagine you hit back-to-back dimes. Like, again, is that likely? No, but can it happen? Sure. And then you win the next turn. Like, that's what happens.
I mean,
okay, I'll stop my Oswald because I have him higher on my list.
Okay.
So we'll talk about him more later.
that's how I feel about Mufasa. So we have each one like that.
Okay.
That's fine.
I have Ralph as the next one on my list, so we already talked about him. The next one, which I know is not on your list, but I think is very much getting overlooked because it's not like a massive, big, huge, like, billboard
Spicy,
style card.
yeah.
It's the Aladdin Intrepid Commander, the 4-cost Inkable in Ruby, Floodborn, 1/4 stat line, shifts for 2, which anytime you're shifting for 2, that is usually pretty solid. And then has the ability when you play this character, your characters get +2 strength this turn.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a Cricky, except you're shifting on 2. Like that's, pretty strong in my book. I mean, you're basically, clearing an aggro board in one kind of go there. The location deck that Cody obliterated with me with, if I had this, I probably don't lose. I'll just say that. So
That's fair.
I think he's definitely a big one. And then last one I won't say because I know it's on your list, and so
No, you can say it real quick.
well, I mean, there's no point. We're going to talk about it.
Okay,
so
but it is your honorable mention.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the end of my honorable mentions.
All right, then I'll go through. I have 3 left here. Next one is Submit to Your Will. Is it Submit to My Will? Submit to My Will.
What color?
Emerald. It's the Jafar.
Yeah. Oh, the 7 cost. Just discard your hand.
I think you have to mention this just because it has that ability. I mean,
yeah. So it's a 7 cost uninkable that just says your opponents discard their whole hand. I think there's a world where, well, I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little optimistic here, but I think the thought process, at least in my mind, is on this one, just get rid of like your entire discard package. There's times where you have a lot of dead cards in your hand, like Hypnotize or Sudden Chill, or some of the other things that are used in that discard manner. And, if you take away 10 of those cards and just build a much more impactful deck in general, then when it gets to the point where you need to discard stuff, you just discard everything in one fell swoop.
yeah. I mean,
That's my thought, at least. It completely changes the discard.
I'm thinking different on that. I think you go one of 2 of in this. I don't think it's your engine.
For sure. That's what I mean. You're building a different deck, but you're still getting the benefits of the discard late game when it's really important.
Sure. I mean, is this anywhere in your list or?
No.
Okay.
I think there's definitely potential for it. I just don't think it's utterly broken.
Okay. So last honorable mention here, Jasmine Royal Seafarer.
I don't like this one.
So 3 cost inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1. When you play this character, choose 1.
Never mind. Sorry, not to catch. I was thinking this is a Floodborn version. I do like this one.
Yeah. Exert chosen damage character or chosen opposing character gains reckless during their next turn.
Just another like Jacques Anna, type of card where you have a lot of potential to slow them down. Disable a Hiram.
It has one big problem though, and that's it is any very competitive Emerald turn 3.
Yeah, that's it. That's a very good point. I mean, this very well could be like a more tempo deck versus an Emerald Steel deck.
Sure.
I'm making that up. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but it's a very strong card.
It's worth mentioning. I think
it's a very strong card for sure.
All right, we go into the top 5 here.
Yep. Okay. Give me your number 5.
All right. Now this could be my hot take because I don't know the overall discussion, but my 5 is Stitch Little Trickster.
Stitch Little Trickster, the 2 cost inkable, 1/3 stat line, quest for 1, pay 1 ink. This character gets +1 strength this turn. Yeah, that's a hot take.
The ability is completely unlimited.
But it's this character. It's not any character. If it was any character, maybe we're getting somewhere.
This takes out, if this is a late game turn, this takes out any location.
And then you're doing nothing else. Again, you have to think about the.
I get it, but how many times in a turn are you wasting 2 to 3 cards to take out a location or big character?
If you're doing that, you're usually in enough trouble where it doesn't matter.
This gets you out of it.
I don't think
this gets you out of it because then you're singing. Because then you're singing with your stuff like this.
Okay, I mean, I see a little bit of value there, I guess.
I think for Emerald decks, when they have a difficult time of punching up above their weight limit,
I'd rather play a Cricky.
and that's fair. and that's fair. But I think this is huge.
If your whole point is to say pay 5 ink essentially to get 5 additional strength, play Cricky. Get 14 additional strength with your other characters on board.
What if you have nothing else?
Then you've already lost. If this is your only thing on board and you're trying to do this to take out a
understand.
You're trying to take out a location, then you already lost.
I get it, dude. But think even like I think this is nuts. I do.
Let's hold Jake accountable, and when he's wrong, let's come back to this one.
Do it. But I think this is nuts.
Okay, that's fair, but I could be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong many a time before. This one's not good.
Okay, that's fair.
I do agree with you that the pay an ink without exerting and just kind of sitting there, like some of these emerald cards are a lot of these emerald cards have now is a very broken mechanic. That's not one of them that meets that threshold though.
Okay, now let's go to your 5 then.
Shockingly, right above yours on the list here, the 5-cost inkable Goofy, the Expert Shipwright, 1/4 stat line, quests for 3, has Ward. So again, we're talking about Ward over here, and he has the ability that says whenever this character quests, chosen character gains Ward until the start of your next turn. So not only can he get you 3 lore, almost guaranteed because he has Ward, but then he's going to give your next play Ward as well, so that one can't get removed, and you've got another potential quest for 3, or another power play that you can start to set up because it can't get removed. So, Goofy Expert Shipwright. I don't think there's a ton to say. I think we've talked about Ward enough at this point, and Ward is by far the most broken mechanic in the game. If you can give that to somebody else, all right.
A Diablo, Ursula.
Yeah.
Ursula being the biggest one, in my opinion. If you can keep her on board, that's nuts.
I was thinking in the Emerald Amethyst route too, like goats or rabbits or stuff that your opponent doesn't want to be bounced. Imagine questing with this and then giving your goat.
Because they got to take out that Goofy to stop that engine as soon as possible.
And they can't take out the goat. And so they either have to B prep, which again, it can happen, but in another world where they don't have a B prep, you're going to quest with your goat and you're going to bounce it, and a lot of fun stuff's going to happen after that. So
that's why it's a little later on my list, but we'll get to it.
Okay. Number 4.
Number 4 for me, that's Basil, Disguised Detective.
My number 4 as well.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I think in terms of a easy...
6-cost inkable. We're gonna do this right. 6-cost inkable, 4/5 stat line. Quests for 2. Shift 4. We have a lot of Floodborns on the list.
We do.
Shift 4 has the ability that says during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may pay 1 ink to have chosen opponent choose and discard a card. So again, I feel like we're getting away from all the unnecessary fluff in the discard realm, which I don't like. This gets discard so much stronger.
This is the new Bucky. It's the new Bucky. It's a simple way to trigger discard. And it makes room in decks like this. Like, Hypnotize is a very annoying card to have in a deck. It just is. Like, I think this makes it to where you don't have to have cards like that in the deck anymore.
I think Hypnotize is better than Sudden Chill, which might be a hot take.
That's a hot take.
I'd like Mo's opinion on that one. He might have my opinion.
Okay.
But the reason he would say it is because it draws you a card. Even if it costs 3 ink, like sometimes you're okay with paying 3 to draw a card. And that's essentially what Hypnotize does.
I agree that it's a good card. I just think that, like, if certain things can replace that and make it where it's unnecessary to have that.
I agree. That was my point with the Jafar, is like if you can get rid of potentially dead cards later in the game or mid game, then you're going to have an overall better strategy. And the Basil is much more in that same vein where
it's inkable. That's the main thing.
And, I think everybody's first thought is like, okay, well, you're just playing Emerald, like Blue Cow.
Yeah.
And playing Emerald Sapphire, which I think there's some viability there that had a little bit of viability in set 5, which this gives it even more viability because you can technically play this on turn 3. And then turn 4, you're discarding 2 cards. But I don't think you necessarily have to. Again, just that one card, like constant Bucky pressure, to your point, can be enough to like really throw people off.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, it's both of our top 4s. It deserves to be there, I think. It's
for sure.
It's going to change the game up a little bit. All right. For sure. So am I going to my 3 or your 3?
We've been going back and forth, so you're 3.
I have Goofy here. Again, we already talked about him, but I think in just of terms of combos, what you can give Ward, sky's the limit. Can change the game.
Yeah, I mean the other one that I thought like after I initially saw this card is like turn 5 Goofy, turn 6 Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
And, most of the time people will, I don't know, Zeus or Strength or whatever a Tinkerbell to get it off because it like once Tinkerbell's on the board, it's probably the biggest stall tactic that you have because like I don't want to get 2 for 1, and so I'm just not going to quest, or I'm only going to quest with my evasive stuff. Well, now you can't take out the Tinkerbell if you want. You have to again prep your board essentially. So yeah, I agree. Goofy's insane. There's no doubt about it. It's just I think that one ultimately is going to come down to what the meta shapes up to be, and if it's fits into like the overall Emerald strategy that kind of takes off.
Mm-hmm. All right, I see your next one on your phone here.
Yep, my number 3 is Sail the Azurite Sea. So the action that's a 2-cost inkable that says this turn you may put an additional card from your hand into your inkwell face down. Draw a card. It replaces itself too. You're getting an ink. You're replacing yourself. That's pretty solid.
So I don't have this in my list.
Okay, well then you just don't understand Sapphire because this is nutty.
I think. Well, I mean, we're talking about Sapphire here in a second, but I mean, that's fair. I missed that one.
The whole point.
No, that's fair.
The whole point of Sapphire these days is to go from 2 to 4 to get a Hiram down, or to go from 2 to 4 to get a Grammatala down, to like keep that consistent card draw and ramp going, or to go to 2 to 4 and play how far I'll go. If you're a Ruby Sapphire player, and so now all of your turn 2 ramp is inkable, and all of your turn 2 ramp can't be taken by Ursula. As a Sapphire player, I thank you very much for that.
I mean, that's fair. I think me not being a Sapphire player, not listening to that, like obviously my 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 were all Emerald. So
okay, well, I didn't even realize that, but yes, you said it wasn't a biased opinion, but it was definitely a biased opinion.
Well, it's more so because of my 2 and 1 are not Emerald, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I just realized I missed one of my honorable mention. I hope it comes up. If not, we'll have to talk about it.
Well, yeah, because you said that it was going to be in my list.
I know, but I missed another one. I just realized.
Bring it up real quick.
Maui?
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't have Maui on your list? Okay. Real little intermission from our top 5 to talk about Maui. The Ruby Maui, that's the 6/5, cost 6 inkable. So another, like Ravensburger's clearly shown that there's somebody on the design team that is a Maui fanboy because all of the Maui cards are busted. So Maui Sharkhead, or Half Shark, sorry, is evasive. He's a 7/5 too. I said 6/5. That's the Maui hero to all. 6 cost inkable, 7/5 stat line, evasive. That's crazy. This one can quest. Crazy. 2 abilities. It says whenever this character challenges another character, you may return an action card from your discard to your hand. Okay, cool. Like, what if I need another B prep? Well, I'll just go grab one real quick. What if I want to draw more cards? Cool, I'll just go get a Visions real quick.
Yeah.
What if I'm in an Amethyst and I want to go sing Friends real quick? Cool.
I mean, in Sapphire, this is busted because you can get that 6 whenever you want. Like,
yeah, cool. I'll go grab another
Visions. Yeah.
Yeah. What if I'm playing Ruby Sapphire and I need to go kill a castle? Cool. I'll go do that real quick. I don't need anything else because it's got 7 strength. And then on top of that, when you play an action, gain 1 lore. I mean, so you're getting that Visions back from challenging, then you're playing it and you're getting a lore and a card. Like, it's just like it combos into like everything you're wanting to do
on my list?
so well. I mean, I had it on my honorable mentions, but again, it's just
it's
just because I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of over Ruby Sapphire. I played it. I'm really on the side here. I played it in Vegas. I didn't really want to. It was the only like option I felt like I had to try to compete. But anyways, okay. So
that's your 3.
No, my 3 is Sail.
Yeah.
So that's my 3. I just think, again, you're going to have the most utterly consistent turn 2 ramp that you've ever had as a Sapphire player at any point in history in the game, which is just nutty.
That's fair. Okay. All right. At 2 here, we've already talked about it, but I have Simba here at 2.
I can't really argue with it being this high. I think it is potentially this good. I don't like aggro.
That's fair.
I just don't like aggro.
That's fair. And it's going to be as annoying as I'll get out with this.
I will say The caveat to that is it has to be shifted. If it's not shifted, then it's not exerted on the turn it's played. And so then you can deal with it.
So, counter argument to that. You shift it on an already exerted bodyguard Simba.
I know. That's what I mean. You have to shift it. And so if you know that, like, if this becomes a very common strategy, then you're zapping that Simba.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. I mean, a few ways to get around it. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I think that alone, or without that fact, it would be the most broken card in the game, bar none. Like, bar none. If it's just like you play this, ready everything up, cool, game over. Like, that's essentially how it goes. So I get why it has to be that way, but I think that keeps the card in check, is my point.
That's fair.
Okay, so my number 2, which we've already touched on a little bit too, is Oswald. Or we didn't talk about it much though, right?
We might have skipped him a little bit, but no, I think we...
I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I said it's in my list, so we can talk about it. But yeah, I mean, we already touched on it a little bit, but again, if you're playing like Sapphire Steel, I think is probably the most like natural fit for him. You know, you're finding your Popsicle, you're playing it for free, you're drawing a card, you're finding your Fortress Sphere, you're playing it, you're drawing a card for free, and you're adding items to the board for your Tamatoa to then have. If you are the luckiest duck in the world and you draw your dime and you play your dime on 4 for free, GG. That's all I'm saying. GG. Game over.
Yeah.
Let's go next.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. There's no discussion there. Again, I had it a little lower, but
I just think that it can turn a control deck, which Sapphire Steel is not your like typical control deck. I think if I were to go like ask the top level Sapphire Steel players if it's a control deck, they'd say no. And so what I mean by control, I don't mean control in like the traditional sense. I mean control as in like it's very much more a late game ramp, like build your resources, get to the end state where you then can like close out.
Yeah.
Quote control. This kind of turns it into an aggro deck. You just get all your resources so fast. You aggro from 0 to 20 in 3 turns instead of 0 to 4 to 6 to 12 to 20. You just go 0, 10, 20. I mean, it really could happen like that. So, yeah, I think Oswald's going to be really fun. I think the main thing that I want to figure out around Oswald is like how many copies you're playing and like the best line to bring him in. Cause I think in most decks or most matchups, he's not a turn 2 play. I mean, especially into other steel matchups, he's not a turn 2 play. Cause he could just get zapped and then, he doesn't get any value. So that's my biggest thing right now is like, how do I figure out the best lines
all
for
these
him?
cards, honestly, like in decks that are already very fortified, it's interesting to find the place for him.
Yeah. Okay, our number 1, and I have a feeling based on what's been left off your list, our number 1 is the same.
Is it Ready or Bot?
No. Oh my God, you left the best card off of the list?
What did I miss?
Okay, well, we'll get to it in a second. Okay, so talk about yours.
I missed something. I missed something completely.
You made your number 1 card a Sapphire card and missed your Emerald card. Like you're gonna deviate from Emerald.
What did I miss, dude?
We'll get to it in a second.
That's why I talked to you about this. Like, hey, what did I miss something?
Well, you didn't show me your list, so I don't. Is Ready or Bot even on the list that I'm looking at?
All right, no, I think it's Ready or Bot, dude.
Oh, it is on. Okay, so Ready or Bot's the 1 cost action, and it says choose one: Ready chosen item or Ready chosen robot character they can't quest for the rest of their turn. So this basically
did I goof?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
we'll get there in a second, but we've talked about this one before. And Prepare Your Bot basically says Ready your lucky dime. Like that's essentially what it says as the ability text.
And was that the honorable mention? You said it was going to be on my list, or
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So what, dude?
So we're gonna get to it in a second. Okay. Finish talking about yours.
I just feel like I really screwed up.
Finish talking about your number 1.
I think this is bar none the most annoying card to be released this set.
It very well could be. And I'm starting to cook and I don't have it in my deck, but it's just like, I don't know. I haven't tested nothing yet. And so it probably will end up in there eventually. But yeah, I mean, this basically says ready your dime for 1 ink. So if you've got 5 extra ink in a turn, you tap your dime twice for potentially, another 6 lore in a lot of cases, in some cases, another 10 lore. I mean, or I guess an additional 5 because you're already tapping for, 5, whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is like an utterly busted closeout tool with dime. No doubt about it. What did I miss? Any final? You're just like so off of your top.
No. I mean, I do think that Ready or Bot. I do firmly believe it's the best card in the set. I do.
And it very well, like, there's a very strong place where it probably should have been in my top 5 to be fair, but my top 5 is also green and blue, which, is what it is. But my top card, Go-Go Tamago.
Okay.
The 2-cost Inkable 2/2 stat line quest for 1, evasive, takes care of Diablo if necessary. Okay. So that's definitely an important stat. When you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to gain lore equal to damage on chosen opposing character. Imagine you Zeus or Robin Hood. I'm going to go get 5 lore real quick.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
And this would be Mo's favorite card. I did not make it my favorite because of that. But he's more in the Emerald Amethyst. We've talked about that. I think this is more of an Emerald Steel tool. His thought process was, imagine I run a goat into a Tamatoa, I get my lore from my goat, and then I play Tamago, and then I get 4 more lore. Or I run my entire board into a Tamatoa, put 7 damage on it, and then get 7 lore.
Yeah, I missed that one. Yeah.
I mean, how many other cards are there that get you 7 lore? I mean, that's a little outside.
It's a lot, yeah.
Okay, so let's say 3 to 4 lore.
3 to 4, yeah.
On the turn it's played. A dime.
That's ridiculous. And you can bounce this.
Yep, sure can. Sure can.
My face just melted.
Yep, sure can. Again, that's why he's on the Emerald Amethyst list.
Yeah.
I think the more consistent way to do it is Emerald Steel, obviously, because you can ping stuff and, you can put 3 to 4 damage on something with Strength or Storm or Zeus, and you can get a little bit more consistent. But the ability to bounce this and then have the more readiness to continue playing it is also like a massive boon for the Emerald Amethyst side of this.
This paired with the Bell move your damage stuff could be nuts.
Ooh,
in Amethyst.
That is a very strong point. I mean, to be fair, you're probably not going to have 9 ink on Emerald Amethyst to play Bell, move the damage, play Go-Go. So I don't know. Maybe, I think that is a very intriguing combo, but you'd have to move the damage the turn before and then play this. And so is that damage still on that opposing character? I don't know. But regardless, there's definitely something there.
Okay. I haven't seen a lot of discussion about this. I missed it, I guess.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be, again, anytime you can just generate lore out of thin air, which is essentially what this does, it's busted.
Goat. This almost makes Daisy somewhat less meta.
Yeah. Mo talked about that nonstop. Throw 3 damage onto a Daisy and then get your 3 lore from it.
Because then that puts you right back up with where that Daisy's at, right? In terms of lore gained.
Yeah.
And
then just leave that 3 damage there and just keep getting your 3 lore while she quests for 2. Take everything else out. I don't know. That's probably a little ambitious, but
yeah.
I think Go-Go, I haven't talked. Well, yeah, I think this is nutty. As I said last time, my want to not be a one trick is definitely up there, and so that's why I have a lot of green cards, because I'm trying to expand my horizons into stuff outside of Sapphire. And so this is one of those tools that I can fully understand being as a dime player to get that value when you play it and get some generate lore out of nowhere to help you close the game.
No, the turn 2 Emerald is, depending on what you're playing, somewhat competitive.
It's not a turn 2 play. It's never a turn 2 play.
Okay, hear me out. Diablo Storm.
Sure. If you're absolutely in need of it, but I think Sir Hiss is still around to do a lot of that for the Emerald Amethyst world, or even Emerald Steel world if you really need to. But if you're probably playing your own Diablo in that one, or your own Storm or whatever. I say never. It's never what you're trying to play on turn 2. But if that's what you've got in your hand and you need to deal with the Diablo, yeah, play it on 2, whatever.
Especially I know this Amber or Mufasa's not being played anymore, but this takes care of any of those pre-damaged cards. They're dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before, but I would love like a Baymax healing deck, like plus Pabby to somehow be a thing. And obviously I think Amber or Ruby Sapphire, like very different Ruby Sapphire, obviously would be the way to go for that one. But yeah, I mean, it's, aside from that, I think they're probably a big liability. Like any damage character becomes a big liability. I mean, imagine your opponent like knows you have a go-go in hand because you bounced it and your Tamatoa has 6 damage on it. And you're like, well, got to B-prep my board now because I can't let them have 6 damage next turn or also, 6 lore next turn.
I think it's worth bringing up real quick. We don't have all the cards for this set yet. I think it's worth bringing up.
We have everything we have everything. So, I mean, more or less.
Yeah.
There's a few that we haven't fully been able to like study, I guess, but
sure.
This is everything that's been out for a while. So,
okay. Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers it then.
I mean, I can't believe I missed it. The Go-Go has not been talked about. I have not seen the mass.
I've seen Artifacts and Lorcana Decklist talk about it.
Okay. No, I missed it. I have missed it.
Go watch the Artifacts podcast.
That's fair. I need to.
Okay, this is a good one. I mean, it's fun to start to get your head around the Azurite Sea meta.
This is the first time we've bantered in a long time and disagreed a lot. This is the first time
fair.
in a long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I guess we have very differing play styles, and so that's going to happen a little bit. And you said you weren't biased in any way, but 7 of your 10 cards were Emerald, and so
it was 7 in a row. I think there was 8 or 9.
Yeah, but you're not biased, or
no.
in any way. It's just all Emerald, the color that you're currently playing.
My favorite ink. Yeah.
Yeah. Not biased.
Not biased, dude. Come on.
Okay, I think that kind of wraps it up then. Any last chance? Any final thoughts?
Right to your bot. And Stitch, little trickster.
Yeah.
I'm on the train.
All right, everyone. Please shout out Jake and tell him he is very off on Stitch Little Trickster because that is not a top 5, much less a top 10 card. So,
all right.
Thanks everyone, and we will catch you next time, which should be it will be in the Azurite Sea meta. We will have been released, and we can talk about some Azurite Sea stuff, like our first impressions at that point, because we'll have gone through the opening weekend events and stuff. So, thanks everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always, and we will catch you next time.
Bye guys.